Okay, so welcome to our Empowering Women in Construction podcast. And I'm delighted to have Marsha Brophy here. And Marsha works as a concrete sales executive at Mick George Limited. Marsha, would you like to say hello?
Hello, everyone.
Fantastic. So Marsha is our first guest in the industry. So it'd be great to hear about why she wanted to pursue a career in construction alongside with some of the barriers that she's faced. And we'll give an opportunity to find out a little bit more about some of the stigmas that we know about women entering construction, and whether she's noticed it improving or not, and hear about her and how she might want to expand her career path or not. We're just going to dig in and find out as much as we can about Marsha and her experience in the industry. How does that sound, Marsha?
No, that sounds great. I can't wait to let you know a little bit more about what I do.
Tell me a bit more about your journey and how you got involved in the industry.
Yeah, so basically I come into the industry because it's very much in my family blood. So I actually had quite a long career with working with horses. So I had a bit of a change in career. And I was very much, on my feet all day, and it was like an outdoor job. But my Mick George has always been, obviously, he's a massive, influence in the region, and one of the biggest construction firms and suppliers in East Anglia. And I've always been interested in following in my family's footsteps. So, yeah, my uncle said there was a job going. I think it was in marketing, but when I went to the interview, we kind of went more towards, we're talking more about the customer service sort of side of it. So I ended up actually taking the job, and I started off from the bottom, just answering calls, dealing with complaints and anything, when you ring up Mick George, I was the front of house. So it was very much, start from the bottom and work my way up. And since then, I've had many, opportunities to progress. And it's been, very equal to both female and male in the company. So, yeah, it's been a good journey so far.
Oh, that's fantastic. So you went from horses to construction and just had a bit of an itch, like, oh, hold on, everybody's doing this. So I might just be a bit curious.
Yeah, I think because it was in my family, it was something that I've always grew up with and seen. I used to sit in my granddad's JCB digger. So it's something that I've always done, been involved with, but it's never been something I've really, considered doing. But no, it was a good step for me, definitely.
Well, I think that has to be the winner, isn't it? Sitting in that digger, it's like, yep, this is definitely the route I want to go down. Very, very, very interesting, Marsha. So how long have you been working for the organisation?
So I'm coming up to 6 years now, and about 3.5, 4 years in the sales team. So as I mentioned, I actually started in customer service and took various opportunities to move up and branch out into the sales team, and now I'm specialising in concrete.
And how's that sort of transition from marketing and sales and customer service to working in concrete specifically?
For me, I like, and the company agrees, that I'm more suited to just focusing on one thing, because the thing is, you can really specialise in that field, and there's various things that you can, improve on, and many courses you can go on to really specialise in that. I also just enjoy it. I find that every day there's always something to learn. Concrete never goes right, so you just don't know what you're up against daily. But no, it's great. Some of the customers that you speak to, you really do build a relationship with them.
That sounds brilliant. And you mentioned that there's lots of opportunities in terms of progression and learning and so forth. Could you tell me a bit more about that?
Yeah, so some of the opportunities that we get within the company is we sponsor quite a lot of football firms like Cambridge and Peterborough United. So we'll be able to take clients out there and entertain them, and just have a good day really. And it really does help with building relationships with clients. There's a few courses that I've asked to go on as well. Concrete technology, so it's like the main sort of industry qualification within my field. So that's a massive step for me to go and do that really. There's just, you can move about the company. There's roles, site-based roles, there's office-based roles, there's, the customer service, you can go into management. So there's all sorts of things that you can do. You just need to work hard and to get there really.
Wow, it sounds like a really great organization to work with, and in terms of the opportunities that are made available. And what I love about what you said is that they're made available to men and women. And there is that little bit of a kind of stigma around women getting into construction. And as part of this podcast, the organization that I started called Bud, one of the key things that we look at is inclusive leadership. And so this is what's brought us to start having some more of these conversations and listening to things that have worked really well in this industry, but also what some of those challenges are and the barriers that have been sort of traditionally. And why do you think that there's been these sort of barriers traditionally for women to enter into the construction industry?
Well, I think first and foremost, it's quite, a simple thing, just as it being quite daunting. I think people, if you was to think about working in construction, you're going to think about it being quite male dominated, which, sometimes it can be the opposite. It can be quite empowering being in a male dominated industry, and that you actually succeeding as a woman. It can be like that. So sometimes you have to look at it the opposite way to then, succeed that way. I think as a woman as well, I think I've actually spoke to a few people about it, and they feel like they have to stand up more to speak their mind, to show that, to prove their voice against like a whole room of men. But it's just I think there's a lot of barriers within the industry, but I think it is, on a good note, I think it is getting better. And some of the things like going to networking events just for women,
Oh wow,
that's a massive step, and there's more opportunities for that now. Open days, people are making a big thing about marketing a lot of construction, women in construction now. So you see it a lot more over LinkedIn and social media, and it is becoming more, people are trying to make people more aware of that.
absolutely. I love that you can approach it from a different angle and sort of think, actually, I want to stand out, I want to be a little bit different to the normality. And also what you talked about was that, having that extra courage to be able to have a voice when maybe there are lots of kind of male voices in the room. And what would you sort of say to like women that want to enter the industry? What advice would you give them?
I'd say go for it, because if you've got a vision, you can achieve it, whether you're male or female. Any age can do it. Whether you're changing career, whether you're leaving school, I'd say to go to open days. So Mick George, before COVID, we used to hold like open days, career open days, where you could come to head office and you could come and look around each department and have a chat with the like the management of that department or the sales rep, and just really gauge an idea of what it's like to work there. And I would just say speak to agencies as well. They're always there to help, and that's their job. They want to recruit people into the industry, into the sector. Just pick something you like. So for me, it was my family history that was brought me into the industry. But I'm in a field now what I enjoy, and what I can progress at every day. So if you pick something you're interested in and you enjoy, that's half the battle. Whether you're quite scientific, then you could look at maybe a site-based role. There's engineering, or if you're quite customer facing, like me, then I would go for something more customer focused with that requires a bit people skills, or you could be on the phone. There's honestly, the opportunities are endless.
That's amazing. And that's the thing about working in construction. It's such a vast kind of variety of different types of things that you could do. And I think sometimes maybe women get this, they have this idea that they're just going to be like, with a digger sort of thing, and that's it. But there's so much more, isn't there? So it's great to hear about the vastness of the opportunities. And I love the points that you made as well around doing something that you enjoy, thinking about what is it that I really like as a female, and how can I utilize these skills within this industry, and I guess not be afraid to step into it as well, as you mentioned about that kind of courage, and explore, go to the open days, have conversations, and don't be afraid to do it.
Yeah, maybe just ask people that have had some success in an industry or in a current job that you'd quite be interested in doing. Then just ask people, just have a chat with people. LinkedIn, don't be afraid of social media, don't be afraid of LinkedIn. I recently had I put a picture on, actually. LinkedIn's quite important for me because it helps me to get a larger following, and in turn it then creates more opportunities from our business to sell. So it's it's a massive thing for me. I posted a selfie on LinkedIn in PPE, so hard hat and high vis, just saying that I was out and about in an area, and it attracted quite a bit of attention and some hurtful comments. It was some people said, is it professional to be is this okay magazine, and selfies are quite shallow. But to be honest, I initially thought, wow, that's not right. But then a man in a hard hat wouldn't receive this comment, so why should I? And I think it's made me more determined to think, well, actually I'm going to go ahead with that, because that's my job, and we want to showcase our business as much as what we can. So yeah, I think it just makes you more determined sometimes.
Fantastic. And I think, how could you possibly go wrong with a selfie
in
a hard hat? I mean, it is interesting to look at the differences, and I really like that you took the time to really think, hold on a minute, if this was a man, would it have had a different response, and actually saying, what, I don't actually care, I'm going to do my thing. I think you're really brave and you're really courageous, and a great example for women to start to think about, actually, what, I'm just going to be myself. I'm going to represent women out there that are working in this industry, and tough if you don't like it, I'm really sorry, but this is who I am. So yes,
because we can we can do just as well as what a guy can. I would say a lot, because I've been in the concrete industry for quite a few years now, I probably know a lot more than some of the men that I speak to. And that is not being big-headed. It's just because I've invested that time and that dedication into learning that product. And I think that can be done, whether you're male or female, and you can earn that trust and respect by doing
Absolutely.
so.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, why not just say it, Marsha? We can do better than men in some of these things. And that's
well, I didn't want to say it.
We can say it. I think, as you said, it's about the skills. It's not about the gender, actually. It's about the skills that we have. And, just the same way that, a man could do better at something that I guess traditionally a female might be seen as, being able to do better as. Same in construction. So, yeah, just own it. I'm going to ask you to kind of think back around your experience over the past 6 years in this industry and working with Mick George. Is there anything specific that stands out to you in terms of an experience that you can hold on to that you'd like to share?
To be honest, it's just, someone said to me the other day, there was quite, a director within the company said, we need more people like you. We need more people. We need more females in the company. We need more people at, more females at higher management level as well. I just think within the industry, there's really not enough women at a high level. And I think it's because a lot of people doubt themselves,
Yeah.
A lot of things. I think it was that selfie on social media. It stands out to me. It really did bring a talking point, to be honest. It really did.
That's really quite a special moment where it's being acknowledged that actually you're amazing. Like, Marsha, you are fantastic. Why don't we have more people like you at this level in this sort of industry? And I know that you said that you can see things changing, but what do you envision this industry looking like in the next sort of 5 years around women in construction?
Well, just to take you back, say 20 years, I've actually got a colleague that's she was one of the first female sales reps in concrete, Jane, in the UK actually. It was a little bit, not very much heard of back then, and something that she experienced was things like being on a site and wearing shorts, and people saying to her, you're not allowed to wear shorts, even though all the guys were wearing shorts, and things like that. And I've actually had in the past where people would say, can I speak to a male instead? Wow. Or can I, when you turn up on a site and it's a complaint, a quality complaint or something, and they would say, can I have a proper person come? Oh my gosh. So that I think it's moving on from that. I think that specifically, like, my customers wouldn't say that to me. But I think it's all part of people like us bringing more exposure to topics like this and getting it out there, so people realise that no, it's not normal to treat people like that, and it is a thing of the past now. But I think where I see it being in, say, 5 to 10 years time, is more site-based girls. I think it's sort of unheard of. Like, I know when I walk onto a site, sometimes all the men are like meerkats. They're like, wow, there's a woman on site, like, let's just stop and freeze. But no, I think more site-based roles for women would be brilliant, because it would end the stereotype of just men being on site.
And I've got 2 questions for you, Marsha. One of them is, like, turning up somewhere and them saying, can I have a proper person? I mean, how on earth did you deal with that? And how were you able to kind of, continue to be professional and still turn up for work the next day?
You need to, I know it sounds bad, but I think you need to really see it from their point of view. They're probably they're stuck in their ways. And I think people just see it from their point of view, and they're not very well educated on this topic, and they're very much set in their ways of who's on site, who they see on site. And I think you need to sympathize with that in a way, and just accept that they've said it, and just say, well, in my situation, I said, look, let's get back to looking at this complaint. And just get on with it, and just show them that you're not going to be affected by that, because it's not right.
I mean, that shows real resilience, and actually, lots of people could have dealt with that in a very different way, but you were sort of like, right, I'm just going to ignore what you said because it's irrelevant. And actually, we're here to do something, so I'm going to do my job. So I definitely take my hat off to you. That's fantastic.
Yeah, it is difficult. But I think if you can see past it and, get back to the business.
And so, I mean, what you've mentioned sounds fantastic. So having more site-based girls, site-based opportunities for women sounds brilliant in the next sort of 5 to 10 years. And actually, Mick George sounds like a great organisation in terms of providing opportunities and really focusing on, bringing equality, between the genders. What advice would you give other organisations that are in the construction industry in terms of making some of these things a reality over the next few years?
I would say for them to hold days where, like, if there's any specific roles within their company that they feel not would benefit from a woman to do, but just to bring more equality to the role, maybe put something out there about open day to come come and see the business, speak to people within the business. They always go down really well. And you know what the market's like at the moment with people looking for jobs. It would just go down really well and bring a lot of people into the business. I would also say, you know, just to use LinkedIn, use those social media sites. You know, Mick George, I think they're planning to do something about the women that work in our business. Get to know videos as well. We've done that recently about getting to know our staff personally. That always works well, and you can actually see what they do within their role.
That's great. I mean, those are some really good tips for organisations that want to be different, because I think in these conversations, Marsha, we can talk all day long about the change that we want to see, but you know, what are these practical things that organisations need to do to make it a reality? So I think those are some really great tips in terms of the open days. I love the idea of like showcasing women at work and what they do and so forth as well. So really letting other women see that there are opportunities, that it's not abnormal to work in construction. And my last question to you, Marsha, is like, what would you say? So, you know, I'm sure there's some women listening to this and thinking, oh gosh, I'm considering working in this industry, but what are the great things that you love about the industry, and why should women apply for work in this particular industry in construction?
Yeah, so there's quite a few things I would say. So I think the main thing for me is the satisfaction of and the like empowerment of working in this industry, with it being so male dominated. You know, we can prove that women do have a place in construction, and for me it's inspiring to inspire others. I think another point as well is progression opportunities. So obviously it's wide and vast roles in construction, you know, from site-based roles like engineers to buying or selling materials. It's a massive part of it as well. So I think the progression within the industry, you know, I've got a customer, he worked on site for 20 to 30 years and the last 10 he's worked in the office, but you'd never know, you think he'd always worked in the office. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think it's very, very, very wide and vast in what you can do and achieve, and just the fact that every day is a learning day, really. The nature of the work is unpredictable, but that's all part of the fun.
I mean, it's not your sort of typical 9 to 5 where you think, you know, you go in and it's the same kind of mundane task over and over again. It sounds like there's so much variety and I guess kind of problem solving and thinking about things and being challenged and overcoming some of those challenges as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Fantastic. I mean, it's been so great to speak to you, Marsha. I'm actually really inspired, and my key kind of sentence that you said is inspiring to inspire others. So it's like this kind of movement of actually this is wider than just yourself working in construction. This is actually, how can I be inspired to inspire others? So it makes it feel like it's a bit of a movement of, you know, being able to showcase the greatness that you are doing in your portion of working in construction and being part of the change that we want to see and how that really affects others. So I've been inspired today by you and your tenacity and determination and overcoming so many of those challenges, but also I'm really inspired by hearing about your organization, you know, the organization that you work with and how they're really trying their best within this industry to encourage women to feel comfortable. So yeah, fantastic. Thank you so much.
Oh, well, I'm glad I've inspired you, and hopefully I'll inspire you know, many other people that listen today to the podcast.
I'm sure you will, Marsha. Thank you very much. All right.